Could be Friday already, but I'm not moaning about another week gone by because the Friday means we can talk to Van Connor, the main man when it comes to all matters movie-related, certainly Freeview film recommendations for the weekend. Good morning, Van. How's your week been, mate? Did you get a chance to see Dune yet? Dune 2?
Oh, I did, and I cannot wait to just get into release week and start talking the hell out of this film. It's incredible.
Whoa!
It's really something. It blew me away in a way that I don't think I'd felt since Inception, I'll say. For science fiction in cinema, since Inception.
Fantastic stuff. And I think you've got a fantastic film to kick off proceedings, a Freeview film recommendation. Where are you taking us to first in Cinema Land?
I think this is a revolutionary point for a genre in time. This is the movie that basically changed the comedy genre of mainstream, popcorn Hollywood fare in the 2000s. So in 2005, Judd Apatow made his feature directorial debut with The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which also made an overnight star of Steve Carell, who I think around this time kind of started appearing in the American version of The Office, and the two made him kind of the biggest star going. He'd been around. People liked him, but this made him incredible. Please ignore the Alexa in the background. So this and 2 years later, Knocked Up, which he did with Seth Rogen, those would go on to sort of redefine the mainstream comedy fare, and would all star Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen and Steve Carell and people like that. But it all starts with The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which really heavily introduces the idea of massively improvised comedy into studio fare. The whole premise is Steve Carell is a 40-year-old kind of insular guy. His co-workers discover that he's, never made it with a girl, and that they believe is why he's so insular, and they decide they're going to fix this, whether he likes it or not. You can see this on ITV tonight at 10:45. I've got a clip for you, and this is the guys making this discovery.
Hold up. Yo, answer this question. Are you a virgin? Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
It all makes sense. You're a virgin.
I am... Shut up.
How does that happen?
He's a virgin. Oh, I knew it. That makes so much sense, man. Look, he's a virgin.
Wait.
You guys are hilarious.
All right. Come on, don't be mean.
I'm not being mean. I'm trying to help the partner out. I'm trying to say I want to get you laid, dude. I understand what's going on
You guys
here,
are
right?
so up your asses.
From now on, your is my I'm getting you some
We know he's getting him. I love some of the ad-lib stuff in that film. There's a moment when Steve Carell is being waxed and he shouts out expletives and he says, Kelly Clarkson, which I've used many times since in front of my grandchildren, so as boys don't learn words they probably know already. So that's your first recommendation. Remind us, when can we see that tonight?
So that's tonight at 11:45, 10:45 on ITV.
Now, Friday night is music night on BBC4, and my first recommendation is a film that's the centrepiece of tonight's tributes to Prince. No, thankfully, it's not Under the Cherry Moon. It is Purple Rain from 1984, a film that cost $7 million and was released, I think, mainly and funded to promote the album. It made $70 million then. It's widely regarded as one of the greats. I mean, it's not for me a great musical, although the music is fantastic in it, but it's a fascinating slice of 80s. I mean, if you wanted to sum up the early 80s, the first 5 years 80s, that film will pretty much do it, because it's got everything in it. Style over content, but amazing songs with amazing hooks, an incredibly charismatic, if, diminutive star in the mighty Prince, of course, and the plot, it's a kind of almost an homage to the jazz singer in a different way, but Prince plays the kid in Minneapolis, where he's largely filmed. He's got a troubled home life. His dad's quite verbally and physically abusive to him and his mother. He spends his time with his band, immersed in music, and he wants to make it, but he's a bit shy, which Prince, of course, wasn't when he was on stage, but certainly could be apparently in interviews. I don't think it's the film that I've seen since I paid to go and see it back in 1984, and I queued for hours outside because it was just a phenomenon, this film, back in 84.
I caught this on early Sky Movies when I was about 10 years old. I had never heard of it. I had no idea what it was. I was blown away by it. I'm like, what the hell is this? It still contains one of my favorite lines in the history of cinema, and that is, why don't you purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka? And I will never not love that line of dialogue. It's amazing. This film is just camp delight. It's of its time. If you've never seen it, you got to. It's really something.
And the album sold 25 million copies, so they both made a fair few shillings for the Martin, sadly no longer with us Prince. So I've got a chunk of the trailer. I mean, basically, I say there's a girl involved in it. You can almost write it on the back of a cigarette packet, this screenplay, and I think they sort of did. However, it's 80s-tastic. It's on BBC. They've got a load of Prince stuff on BBC4 tonight. 11:20 tonight, that is Purple Rain. Here we go.
Purple Rain.
I mean, there you have it. The hype, and the shoulder pads, the outfits, the hype, the purple, it's all in there. And your second film is one of those films like Homer with a Shotgun that kind of does what it says on the tin, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, when this was on the pre-release cycle and they were doing the marketing and everything, I couldn't wait to see this movie. It was an early, it was very much a case of like early internet viral, you know, fame and popularity for a movie, like pre-release. And it was helped immeasurably by Samuel L. Jackson turning up at Cannes that year, wearing a blazer and a t-shirt upon which was the equation snakes plus plane equals snakes on a plane. I mean, from that title alone, I sat in a university film seminar with a writing instructor once. He asked for a great example of a movie that this title described it. I said Snakes on a Plane, and he genuinely hadn't seen it. He was very vaguely new at that point, and he asked, wait, do they really just set snakes loose on a plane? I went, yes. He goes, why? He went, crime lord wants to kill a witness. He said, but that makes no sense. I'm like, it doesn't need to.
Welcome to mainstream cinema,
down?
mate. Welcome, wake up and smell the coffee. Yeah, but anybody who knows anything about Park Your Brain at the Door action films knows it's an amazing high concept action film, this, isn't it? Forget, of course, it's a stupid way to do it. It's just a brilliant concept.
It is, but it's a weird thing. It's a low ambition, high concept actioner. That's the part that's really brilliant. Of course, we know it's all building with the casting of Samuel L. Jackson to one specific line, which of course we are not going to use as a clip. You can see this, 5-star, 11:10. I can't wait to watch this again. I need a revisit to this. It's such a ride. New Line classic from 2006, Snakes on a Plane. I give you Samuel L. Jackson trying to figure out what's going on with the snakes on the plane.
Look, Doc, people are dying up here. We need help fast.
Okay, just break open any blisters that form around the bites, keep them clean.
We're doing that. It doesn't seem to be doing much good.
Snakes don't attack unless they're provoked, right? Something up there is making them go crazy.
Yeah, no They're attacking everybody and everything up here. They're especially fond of those lays.
Lays? Jesus, I don't know. It could possibly be a pheromone. That's what female animals release to trigger mating behavior. It could also provoke serious hyperaggression, like some kind of drug.
Well, that's good news. Snakes on crack.
Oh, I mean, right there, I'm going to be watching that one as well. Now, my second film recommendation is on, it's on Saturday night, 11:15 p.m. on Channel 4. I've recommended this before, and I think you may well have done. From 1985, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's, to my mind, apart from the Terminator films, finest hour. It is directed by Michael Lester, the absolutely nonsensical, but brilliant, with a name check for Boy George in it, Commando, and basically, Commando is about the story of a commando, former special forces guy. His daughter gets kidnapped. The baddies are trying to force him to do something he doesn't want to do, and he unleashes hell and havoc upon their heads, sometimes almost comic decent. I think he takes the top of a man's head off with a circular saw blade, doesn't he, when he's locked in a shed. He's got a MacGyver with muscles, he's in this one, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it is just the man who plays Humongous in Mad Max 2 is the Australian actor, is the main baddie for the villains. Yeah, exactly. So it's got a pedigree cast in there. It's also got, I think, Ray Dawn Chong's in there. Elisa Milano turns up. It's very 80s in that way, and also Bill Duke. So if you haven't seen it, where have you been? If you have seen it, you want to watch it again. This is a film that whenever it's on, if I come in 20 minutes into it, or 89 minutes into it, I'll sit and watch the rest of the film, because I know practically every line in it, but it is an absolute belter. I think this must have made a huge amount. I think it made, for $5 million or $5 or $6 million investment, I think it made almost $60 million. So again, like Purple Rain, it kind of tenfold increased its budget, which is what people would think. And it spawned quite a few other films of this ilk with the special forces, mainly those starring people like Chuck Norris and, I'm afraid, Jean-Claude Van Damme. This is the original of this type of movie, and I think the best. I say original, it's not really got an original idea in it, but it's on 11:15 tomorrow night on Channel 4. This is a great Saturday night post-pub film, I think, Ben.
Oh yeah, definitely. The sequence of Schwarzenegger on the beach when he's loading up his combat vest and cocking his rifles and slotting his magazines and things. That has just become the ultimate go-to gif, I think, for suiting up now. Like that's a thing you send your friends.
And also there's a real
come on, we're going out.
There's a real subtext, homoerotic subtext between Schwarzenegger and the villain. At one point he says, use the blade. Why deny yourself the pleasure? He says, with absolutely straight face. So 11:15 tomorrow night, Channel 4. Here we go.
They hunted him down.
You know, Colonel, we went to a lot of trouble to find you.
They murdered his friends. And they took the only thing he would kill for.
If you want your kid back, then you gotta cooperate. Right? Wrong.
Now, somewhere, somehow, someone's gonna pay.
The line about Boy George is, I think he says, "Oh, you like Boy George." Girl George will be a better name. That was the comedy ad-lib from 1985. Okay, and my final recommendation for the weekend, I struggled a bit with Sunday, I must admit. And this isn't one of my favourite Clint Eastwood films, far from it. But it spawned a sequel. It's endearing in a very kind of low-hanging fruit way, with Clint Eastwood playing a street boxer, basically, illegal boxer, bare-knuckle boxer, who starts to worry that he enjoys being hit too much. He wants to walk away from that world. Along the way, he meets the usual redneck sheriffs, a completely incompetent gang of spoof Hells Angels, and he's accompanied by Clyde. Clyde is, of course, an orangutan, for reasons best known to the people who devised the script. Again, a big smash hit. This spawned the sequel, Any Which Way You Can, which follows it straight away on 5 Action. Sunday afternoon, 4:15 p.m. is Every Which Way But Loose. After that, it's Any Which Way You Can. If you made a third film, Goodness Alone, well, knows what they call it, perhaps maybe we won't or something, but they didn't in the end. Those two, though, the second one's terrible. First one's acceptable, and is very much kind of Clint Eastwood in the way that Peckinpah made Convoy. This is kind of Clint Eastwood's Convoy, I think, really. So it's on there if you like that sort of thing. I'm not going to play the trailer because I've got a bit of a musical treat from Clint Eastwood coming up for you guys. But remember, that's my third recommendation, 4:15, Sunday afternoon, 5 Action, and it's Every Which Way But You Can, with the mighty Clyde, the orangutan. The best. If there'd been an Oscar for best animal contributor, he'd have got it that year, I think, though. I mean, he's the best thing in the film.
I think so, and you know, it would be vague. I think there'd be some crap years in between, but Andy Serkis would start winning it in the late 2000s, at the very least. Like he'd be the first human to win the Best Ape award, I think, in that case, totally.
Okay, so I've got the trailer. We've got your final recommendation, though, to look forward to. What have you gone for Sunday, Van?
I'm also going ape-tastic, funnily enough. Channel 5, maybe something in the air that day. Is it National Ape Day and just neither of us noticed? But Channel 5 at 11:05 that night, they're showing from 2017 Kong Skull Island. Ooh. This is a sort of reimagining of the King Kong story set at the tail end of the Vietnam War. A group of American soldiers are sent during the dying days, like as America are about to pull out of Vietnam, sent to investigate Skull Island on a scientific expedition, which of course is just destined, as you know from the title alone, to lead to the discovery of King Kong. And it's a lot of fun. It's a really well made.
It's also got Samuel L. Jackson playing a real psychotic baddie, I think, hasn't it? Samuel L. Jackson's in this one as well.
Yeah, I'm 2 for 2 this week on Sam Jackson movies. Clearly, maybe he has a birthday. We need to check the dates on these more clearly. But a lot of fun. John Goodman in there as well. Toby Kebbell, Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, and of course John C. Reilly, who kind of gets to steal the show. I've got a clip for you, and this is the group of just wandering for survival human beings on Skull Island.
Here we go.
Yeah, you smell that? That's death.
What the hell is this place?
This is what's left of Kong's parents.
I've taken enough photos of mass graves to recognize one.
The crash site's just on the other side of this valley. We'll cross through and make it to the highest point west.
This place is a real no-no, sir.
We need to be going to the north side right now.
And you're welcome to do that, my man. By yourself. I'm not leaving Jack out there. Now, who's with me?
We can make it.
You're mighty right we can make it. Now, stay sharp. Keep an eye out.
I've only been here 28 years. What do I know?
And watch out for those snakes on a plane, I would say to endorse that. Is Off Screen with us this morning, just about 8 o'clock-ish, your fantastic podcast.
It is indeed, and we get to talk about a new Olivia Colman comedy based on a true story of the Littlehampton letter scandal called Wicked Little Letters. So you can check that out on podcast platforms from 8 a.m. So just look for Off Screen. And next week's June week on Off Screen, no doubt, then. It will be. I'm really looking forward to it because it's so good. I just can't wait to talk about all the things I really loved about it.
Now, you mentioned we should maybe check out the birthdays more. I did check out one in the week. On February the 19th, had he been spared, Lee Marvin would have been 100 years old. He was a Second World War Marine, of course, heavily decorated, great actor, very good producer, or sort of producer of his own films, with that kind of having the angst of a Steve McQueen type input into it. And of course, he made one musical, and that gave him a #1 hit single pretty much all over the world, which we played earlier this week, Wandering Star. A voice so low only a bison could hear it. I was born. #1 record all over the world, but the B-side wasn't by Lee Marvin. The B-side was also from that dreadful musical film, Paint Your Wagon. Nothing like the Broadway smash hit originally. And on the B-side to Wandering Star was Clint Eastwood singing I Talk to the Trees. Spike Milligan spoofed this once by singing I Talk to the Trees, and that's why they put me away. Anybody listening to this will think that Dirty Harry needs to investigate who's stolen Clint Eastwood's singing voice. Truly atrocious. We leave you with that, though. Lee Marvin, there's nothing about that guy you can't not love. Even down to the fact he gets the mention in Reservoir Dogs, doesn't it? I bet you like Lee Marvin movies. Of course we like Lee Marvin movies. Who doesn't? Have you got a favourite Lee Marvin film, Van?
Point Blank for me. Every time
film.
I love that movie.
That's a great... And he was cast in The Wild Bunch, apparently. He was going to play Pike, and he fell out with Peckinpah. So that was it. He then went and made Paint Your Wagon. Terrible. Here's Clint Eastwood. This one didn't chart, surprisingly, Talking to the Trees.
I talk to the trees.